Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FightFit Podcast. Tully Lou back on the show.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm really good today. I'm good.
So-
Monday and yeah, good.
For a bit of background for everybody, you were on the show.
Yes, I was on the show.
Few technical difficulties.
Just a few. But it was so much fun. It was a good conversation. I hope this time it's just as fun.
And we've gone back and we've remodeled.
I like
now
it.
we've got we're not doing any live anymore. Pre-recorded. And it's going to be working
Moving
a lot
up in
better.
the world.
Get ourselves a new GoPro. So do you want to give everybody a little bit of context in the likely event that they turned the podcast off after 5 seconds last time?
Oh, yeah. Far out. Do you want me to start from the start? Or...
Yeah, please. So
Okay.
just tell us a little bit about your brand, Tully Lou, first of all.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back into the boxing later.
Okay, perfect. So I have an activewear brand, Tully Lou. I started the brand in 2013. Going back, I had an eating disorder and I was suffering from depression and stuff when I was about 14. And I kind of found yoga on the path of my recovery. And I was doing yoga all the time in like yoga classes and stuff like that. And I remember one day when I was in the class, I found that like I looked around the room and there was a lot of women in like really baggy black, like boyfriend style clothes. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, far out, it doesn't really inspire you to want to work out. And it doesn't really enhance, our figures or anything like that. So I kind of from that day, I was like, I always loved fashion. Like I had a passion for fashion. And I kind of thought from that day, I really wanted to start an activewear. Well, back in the day, it was like yoga wear. And I was like, I really want to start like a yoga wear brand because I'm, like I said, I'm passionate about fashion and I want to inspire women to live healthier lives. And because I'd kind of had that past experience of having an eating disorder and depression, I kind of just really, really wanted to help women. So I came up with the idea then, and now it's 6 years later, and we're still around and we're still the same about like empowering women, inspiring women, and we're still here today.
How do you think it's evolved in those 6 years?
I think, well, as a person and a designer, I've definitely evolved. And I think the brand has as well. Like back when I started the brand, it was kind of more based on, because I was doing so much yoga, it was always just a yoga wear brand. And as the years have kind of come along, I don't know if you've noticed, which you probably have, but sportswear and activewear is like such a thing now, especially in women. Like a lot of women are going to have coffee and like lunch and brunch in their activewear. It's like a lot more accepted.
When did this come up? Because
Yeah.
because you see a lot of people, men as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend it, as much for men, but it's,
Yeah.
just wearing tights around.
Maybe put a pair of shorts over the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not leaving too much to the imagination. But yeah, when did this come about? Just wearing activewear, wearing lycra about in public?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so when I officially launched the brand, it was 2013, and that was kind of, I don't know why. When I launched, it was like that was when activewear was really taking off, and I was so lucky that I launched at the right time and I saw the niche in the market. Like you had all these big companies like Style Runner, which is a online destination for activewear, that was launching. It was becoming more of a thing, and I think that's when like back then it was kind of like athleisure. It was really just taking off, and like I said, I think we just launched. Well, I think I launched at the right time, and I think 2013 to 2014 is when it really kind of took off, and it just kind of like boomed, and now it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, you see, I remember when skins really came into prominence as well. I think that they've kind of died out a little bit. Skins.
Yeah,
now,
I think they have.
There's so many really elite sort of like. What do you call them? Like the lycra?
So that would be like a compression pant, and like so I think skins would be like a compression, and then there's TXU, which is also compression. There's like your like fashion forward brands and stuff, which are and performance brands, which is kind of where Tully Lou sits. But there's so much more competition now. It's like I said, it's $1 billion industry, and it's a lot more accepted, which is amazing because it's bloody comfortable, and it also does like you can go from gym to have coffee or
that's the beauty of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just comfortable, like, and that's what I think everyone likes about it too.
Yeah, I love wearing my gym gear.
Yeah, same.
Even when I'm not working out. Every day, you get to.
I know, I do.
You get to design
I get to go to the office in my activewear, so it's fun.
That's awesome. So you only do girls.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the behind the premise of doing pregnancy wear as well.
So we haven't launched it yet, but we're about to launch maternity. So one of our friends, maybe about 4 years ago, came to us. She has 2 little girls, and she came to us and was like, I found it so hard to find maternity, activewear. nowhere. It's like no one does it, and if they do, they don't do it well. And I think there's a massive niche in the market again for that. And at the time, like I was running the business by myself. I now have a business partner, but I was running the business by myself, and I wasn't ready. Like I just didn't feel that I was ready to take on more work, and we didn't have enough factories and suppliers and stuff. So I kind of said no, but I said it's something that I want to do, but not just yet. And so we kind of let it go for a little while. And then last year, she became pregnant with her third child. And I was like, okay, this is the time. I'm also getting older. A lot of my friends are having kids, and, I want kids one day, and I would love to produce a product that is comfortable and reliable. So we kind of decided that that's the time to launch, and we're launching it in about a month's time. We've shot the campaign and done everything, and so it's exciting. So that was kind of where it started.
What's the difference? Like obviously the measurements and everything would be different.
Yeah, so I personally haven't been pregnant before, so it's hard for me to kind of know what pregnant women feel and stuff like that, but we've done a lot of research, and obviously my friend Brooke as well, who is doing it with us, she's been pregnant 3 times, and she's quite active. She boxes and works out a lot, so she kind of knew what is needed. So there's obviously over the belly waistband, there's under the belly waistbands, over the top, so there's it's just a whole different process. So we just had to gather a lot of information and of girls, of what they want. And the main thing was that they couldn't find something that was comfortable enough, because you could imagine if you're growing a baby, it'd be, everything's uncomfortable.
Especially if you're further along as well, you'd be trying to squeeze clothes.
And there's a lot of women
you have to wear looser clothes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of women that still do want to work out, but then there's a lot of women as well that don't work out, but they want to feel comfortable. So to have a pair of leggings that fits right over your stomach and is comfortable, then bonus. It's amazing. So we're kind of hitting 2 demographics of pregnant women, I guess you would say. We're the ones that work out a lot, and then the ones that just want to be comfortable. So it's exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. So you started with yoga, you said. When did you start doing yoga?
So I started doing yoga when I was 14. So random. When I got diagnosed with anorexia when I was a teenager, I was at home. I either had a choice to go to rehab or recover at home. So I decided to quit school and recover at home, because I'm stubborn and I just didn't want to go to rehab. So I recovered at home, and I wasn't really doing anything during the days, and I was so bored and obsessing over food all the time, and I just needed to move my mind somewhere else. So I just started doing yoga on a DVD. It was so random. I can't even remember what yoga it was, what DVD it was. And I just started doing that. And then I started doing it every day. And I really found that there was this weird connection between my mind and my body. And it was weird. I was starting to forget how obsessed I was with food for that hour that I was doing yoga. And I really liked that. It kind of took me out of my head and out of the world as such, and then onto my mat. And then I just forgot about things. So I liked that. So I was about 14. And then as I got older and my recovery kind of, went on, I started going and doing an actual yoga class at a yoga studio. So it just progressed. And then did it for a long time. I've probably been doing it, since then. And then I got to a point and I was like, I think I want to teach yoga. I liked what it did to me, and I want to help, especially women, not just women, men as well. But I really wanted to help people kind of learn about yoga and what it did and what it does to the mind and stuff like that. So as in
connecting your mind and body, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. Nah, I think with my mind and my body, because I was so I was so in my mind all the time, thinking about shit all the time, and then just
I guess it would have created a really unhealthy relationship.
I
between
was
your mind and body as well.
I was so obsessed, and then obviously my body was unhealthy because I wasn't getting the nutrients, because my mind was obsessed with food, and my body was really taking a toll. I kept losing more weight, and just I think also with the mind body thing, it's kind of I don't know how much yoga you've done before, but you kind of get in this, if you're in a class, you kind of get in this flow, and it sounds really weird and hippie, and I might sound like a fucking crazy person, sorry.
No worries, we swear all the time.
It's weird, you're kind of getting this zone, and your body's just flowing with the flow, and it's it's a weird experience, and I think that's where the mind body thing.
Can you Well, obviously, I think it would be relatable to boxing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's kind of I'm one of those people who makes excuses for not meditating and not getting into those things.
Yes.
My mind's too busy. I like to be active.
Yeah.
Don't have time. All that sort of stuff. And I think that boxing for me is the closest I've come to really, and I think I have on many occasions really reached a flow state.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what
100%.
you're sort of getting at with the yoga, that flow state of just not really thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
And having a productive effect on your mind and body.
Yeah, agree.
Well.
And it's exactly why I'm so not addicted to boxing, but I love boxing for that same thing that yoga does for me. It's like when you're boxing, you're so in the moment. I think it's that present moment thing. You're like so in the moment. You're so present because you're trying to work out what the combo is and stuff that you just forget about everything else. And I do think for me, boxing is a meditation, exactly what you've said. Yoga is a meditation for me as well. I mean, you're not sitting there in stillness and stuff, but it still is that kind of form of meditation because you are so present at that time. Yeah.
And often, with these sorts of things, they take a high level of concentration as well. And this is me just, spontaneously philosophizing about this.
Yeah, no, I love this. Yeah.
Like when you're boxing, you're really intuitive about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're really perceptive about what your trainer's doing or what the people around you are doing as well. And to have that connectivity between your mind and your body is something that you don't really do so often, because a lot of the time you're either just working out in like a monotonous way or you're, doing something that's mentally stimulating that doesn't require your body to move as well.
Yeah,
so
agree.
It's quite a unique and cool little flow state you can get into.
I think it is. I think I wish a lot more people kind of use boxing for like that kind of way as well, because it is such a it's definitely a meditation for me. Yeah,
absolutely. So when you were younger, what age did you say that you started to sort of begin to have symptoms of anorexia, and how did that sort of come about?
You know what? I think I would have been I was 14 when my parents kind of sat me down and were like, I think you have a problem. There's something not right here. We've booked you in to see a psychologist. But I think it would have been before, definitely. The little things were happening before I was 14, 100%. Like when I hit high school, just little things I think one thing that I've sat down with so many psychologists and stuff trying to work out what got me into that trap of not eating and obsessing over food and turning to getting anorexia and stuff. I think when I was younger, this is what I'm thinking now. I'm not 100% sure if it was it, but I heard someone make a comment. It was something I'm very athletic, and I was athletic when I was a child, so I was never tall, thin. I was always muscular. And I heard someone say, "Oh, Tully's got fat, stumpy legs," or something like that. It was something so ridiculous, and I wasn't supposed to hear the comment, but I remember as a child, I reckon I would have been 7, and I still remember to this day that conversation and who that person was and where they were in the house and where I was. And I think and as I'm getting older, I'm trying to work out what was it that triggered me, and that's the only thing that I can ever come up with that I think may have triggered me. And it's interesting because I was probably 7, and it's so funny how one little comment like that, a negative comment when you're that age, triggers you for the rest of your life, because it did. And and it's so funny, out of all the comments I could have heard, still to this day, I'm 31, and that's one comment that I can only remember. And that's sad. And then that's why I'm so passionate about women's, health and stuff like that, and trying to make sure that, obviously, again, I'm not a mum, so I can't comment on mums and stuff, but it's such an important thing. Don't make little comments like that. Don't do diets if you've got children, especially young girls. It's so hard. I think
when you're that young, it's so easy to absorb things negatively because you're obviously you're in your developmental stage.
Yeah. And I think
of growing up.
Exactly. And I think I was very much a perfectionist when I was a child. Still am, but I was. And I think maybe I was trying to not yell for just trying to get maybe my parents' approval or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's interesting. And like I said, I still to this day don't know what it is, but that's the one thing that I've kind of come to the conclusion that maybe it was. And then just growing up, I was just upset. Ever since then, till I was 14, I was just obsessing over food all the time.
In every little thing you'd put into your body was just or you try and eat as little as possible.
Little as possible. I would stand over the kitchen counter, watching. And I grew up in quite a healthy household. My mum, we'd only have Cocoa Pops and Fruit Loops on school holidays or a birthday. My mum is a very good cook and would always have really amazing food and stuff. And but I would sit in the kitchen and like watch, like stare at my mum to make sure she wasn't putting oil in stuff and like butter and if she did, I would fucking go crazy. Like it was like I was like a 3-year-old cracking a tantrum at like 14. Like I would go psycho and I was like, I would not eat that. I'm not eating that. So in a way, my parents, especially my mum, was always walking around on like eggshells because she was scared that she was going to trigger me. And then that would make me not eat for the rest of the day because I'd be like, I'm punishing you because you put oil in that, so I'm not going to eat. So it's just like crazy shit that it used to do. And often I do think it's like you really are like, you might be 14, but you're acting like a 3-year-old. Like, so, and it's that chemical imbalance in your brain because you're not getting enough nutrients. But I like knew every calorie and everything and like, I just obsess. And I would sit there and like think about food all the time, but I wouldn't eat it. Like, no way.
So you'd think about
food,
like fattening food.
Everything. Yeah, but I would not dare to touch it.
The only thing I can relate to with this is that at work, right, we get a lot of donations of really sweet foods like cakes and
like
all this
chocolate.
all the good stuff.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
But I never touch it.
Yeah.
Because there's one area that I have to be disciplined. Otherwise, it'll be like a floodgates and I'll just eat everything.
Yeah, because once you start, like you can't stop.
Yeah, but I cut them up.
Oh, that's a good idea.
They need to be chopped up, but I cut them up because I want to see what's inside.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to see what it looks like inside.
Some people might be like, that's weird, but that's a good idea. I like
Otherwise, I'd just die wondering.
Yeah, I know, seriously. But like, you just like would do weird shit.
Yeah.
And, like, I just obsess over food 24/7. And it was consuming my brain all the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then that's when kind of like the depression came about. And then like I was so OCD. Like if just say mum had made dinner and I approved of whatever she was cooking, if it wasn't served at a certain time, I wouldn't eat it. I was so obsessive. And it's part of the illness. Like there's so many elements of an eating disorder, anorexia and stuff. And it's funny, like I speak to some girls who had anorexia when they were a teenager and they'll tell me some of the things they did and I'm like, no shit, you used to do that. I used to do that. It's so bizarre. Like I've spoken to so many girls and they're like, oh, I used to do this. I was like, no, did that. Like that's crazy that you did that. It's so weird. It's like this little secret like society, but we don't talk to each other, but we know what you're all doing. It's weird. It's so weird.
It's so funny how like it's manifested itself into an illness, like because it doesn't really happen too much with guys. It's more girls, isn't it?
It's a more girl, and
it's kind of a product of what we're constantly seeing, and especially with young girls, the pressure to be beautiful.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about this last time with the other one that didn't record.
Yeah.
No, but I think we were speaking about this. It's like there's so much pressure. Like obviously, me having the illness when I did, I always say like, I'm kind of grateful in a way that I did have what I had because I wouldn't be who I am today. I'm, and a lot of my success in business or life or whatever has probably come to being so I had to grow up very quickly with my illness and all that kind of stuff. And I am grateful I had it because, like I said, it makes me who I am. But if I had anorexia in this day and age, it actually kills me to think I don't know if I would have got out of it. There is so much pressure for young girls. I mean, and guys as well. I'm not saying just girls, but there is so much pressure with like Instagram, Facetune, Photoshop, all that stuff. A lot of girls think they need to look a certain way, and that pressure, honestly, it kills me because I just don't know what I would have been like. I would have been 50 times worse than what I was.
Especially because now it's so accessible for people to be able to edit their photos as well.
Yep.
Like
Make yourself thinner. Smooth this out. Do this. Do that.
And to project like to be honest, like we all project a false image of what our life
100%.
looks like, but to be projecting a false image of what you actually look like, and then not being able to present like that in real life, it's just
sad.
Strikes me as something really dangerous that's happening probably a lot more than people are willing to divulge.
Exactly. And it happens, and like you said, like we all put our best parts of our lives on Instagram, and it's like as much as like I love to be like open and raw and stuff, like that time you broke up with that guy and you're sitting on the floor crying and like whatever. Of course, I'm not going to put that up on Instagram.
Of course.
But like, it is sad, and I just
This is probably a good segue to Instagram's newest feature.
Yes.
The no likes.
I think they listen to us too.
We were just talking about it. I was actually telling you before that I'd just broken the internet with a great photo that had been taken of me at footy, and I was absolutely stoked with it. And then Instagram takes away my likes.
Oh, no,
Here I am with a bit of a head,
now you
head
have
bubble.
to change that. That's your new profile photo.
I've got a head bubble. I'm loving my work, and then no one can see how freaking low I'm getting.
But that's okay. At least you know it was a good photo, and you can But I think it's really good for mental health. Like honestly, I do. Like we were talking about before, and I don't know how many people know this, but you can still, as a person on Instagram, you can too see how many likes you've had if you go to the back end. But I think visually for everyone else, I think it is a great step towards better mental health and stuff like that. It's still not healthy. Instagram, social media,
it eliminates the gratification.
Yeah.
That you get from other people
exactly.
seeing it.
Yeah.
So it's not something that you have to factor in.
And you know what I think it is amazing? I think it's really good for people who compare themselves with other people, because that is something in my industry that is, and yes, I've done it before. I'm not going to say that I haven't, but I have. There might be someone competing for the same job as you, or has this, might have another brand, another sportswear brand and stuff. And it's very easy as
you hear that the girl you like goes on a date with some dude. Yeah. Let me see this.
And you're like, okay, she's only likes. 20 likes. I'm winning. Yeah. But it's actually it's a thing. So I think for comparing, it's quite good, because then you can't compare yourself with that person if they post a similar photo, or that person got this job and you didn't. I think it's good in that way. So it is definitely a step forward, which I love.
I do agree. I do agree. Even though I was happy with it, I hadn't uploaded it in Instagram for a few months, and I came back with a bang, and then Instagram takes one more. But anyways, that's just my personal.
Like I said, you just have to change your
that's
profile.
That's my personal plight anyway. But what kind of effect do you think, in terms of a ripple effect of this, could have on the social media influencer industry? Because it's something that's come massively into fruition and into prominence, is the influencer industry. And girls can, guys too, I guess, but I don't really know too many influencer guys, but girls can.
Sorry, I do.
Yeah, you would. This is your bread and butter. But yeah, I wouldn't follow them. But unless they had really nice abs.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but yeah, girls in particular, and guys, but there's this industry where they can sort of make a living off it, where you can explain it better than I can.
Yeah, so obviously there is influencer is a job now. So obviously there are a lot of people making money on Instagram, and it's just the way the world's changing. Me as a brand, so I'm a funny one, because I will hire influencers for a brand, but I also, as myself, get hired as an influencer. So in that way, it's good, because I know both ends of the stick, I suppose. But I think for influencers, I think what's going to happen is, the negative side of this is they're going to buy more followers, which is false for people like me as a brand. If I see that someone like Tully Lou, the brand, the clothing brand, if I see someone on Instagram and I'm like, oh shit, they have really good engagement, they've got a lot of followers. Well, I don't know their engagement anymore because the likes have gone, but maybe their comments, they've got a lot of comments. They've just say they've got 2 million followers. I'm like, sweet, I'm going to pay this influencer $10,000 for a post, and then hopefully we'll make $20,000 worth of sales, right? So what's happening now is these influencers are, because their engagement, you can't see their engagement, they're going to buy more followers, thinking that the brand, me, Tully Lou, will pay for them to post something because of their following count. But actually they're lying, because their followers aren't real, whereas this person that's got 2 million followers, kind of get me?
They have
real.
More genuine engagement.
Exactly. And they're the ones that are going to sell product, because
rather
their
than
followers,
having 100,000 weird Russian and Chinese
exactly,
accounts.
or made up accounts.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen, the negative side of this, is influencers are going to buy more followers, and that has a negative effect on me as a brand if I want to pay for people, and it also has a negative effect on me as a person, because then I'm comparing that person because they've got more followers, or how did they get more followers. So I think there is that kind of negative part of the Instagram kind of thing that's happening, and
but there's obviously the positives as well.
Yeah, there's positives as well. So
I've heard that Kendall Jenner can get millions for one post.
Yes, yeah. So it's like I said before, it's it's where the world is going. and it is a job now. I mean, she's different because she's like a celebrity as such. But yeah, there's influencers that are like YouTubers and stuff that can $10,000 easy for one post.
That is insane.
It's insane. But
it's such an easy job as well. Like the fact that you can just post things. I mean, I guess there would be a lot of expectation.
Yeah, I don't think easy is the right word. Like it seems when you say it out loud, you're like, oh my God, that's such an easy job. I'm going to be an influencer. I wouldn't say it's easy. Like I
there'd
think
be a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot. So like
the actual act of posting something is easy.
Yeah, but like if you're a YouTuber, like there's a lot. Like one, you have to have a fucking good personality because I'm not going to sit on YouTube and watch someone that's boring.
Yep.
So you have to have a really good personality. For YouTube, most of the YouTubers are beautiful. They're either they do makeup tutorials or whatever. Not all, but like they have to have a good personality, good look, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So they have to like record 3-4 times a week
and have good editing skills.
Good editing,
as well.
All that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of work behind.
Yeah, I've really thought about. We've got a YouTube channel obviously here, but it's not very high tech. Like you wouldn't have to do a lot of editing or anything. But I've thought about when I go traveling, doing some traveling videos and stuff.
And there's so much editing. Like you have to I've got quite a lot of friends who are YouTubers and or do like random videos and stuff. And like obviously it's easy to record when you're on a trip, but then when you finish a trip or when you're on that trip, you have to sit there for 6 hours a day editing. So there is a lot of work behind it. So
and then
I wouldn't say it's
post
easy.
Engagement as well.
Exactly. And then you've got to write back to you've got to write back to all the comments and stuff because they're your fans in a way. Like they want you to answer back to them because otherwise they're not going to watch your next video and they feel like a bit. I think with YouTubers and Instagrammers and influencers, I think it's that personal thing. Like people think they know you. And
it's good to not just be a figure, but to also ingratiate yourself with with the people who are sort of actively commenting on your things.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of work behind it, and I give credit to all the YouTubers and stuff because, to be honest, I don't think I'd want to walk around with a camera in my face, vlogging or whatever they do every day. Like what we were talking about before, it's kind of nice to be disconnected from that, and I feel like they're always connected. So, I don't know if I'd want to do it.
Yeah, well, do you reckon
maybe for the money, maybe for a little while?
Yeah, do you reckon you would start like a YouTube channel because there's so much room for innovation in your industry as well to be more active, to be on across more social media outlets.
Yeah, I don't think I'd start a YouTube channel. I started doing like IGTV videos because I find they're a little bit more raw. Like you don't have to work out like the lighting, and you don't like. It's kind of like. If I feel like doing a video now, I'll do a video, but I'll kind of do it more about like my experience, my story or business, or if someone's asked me to talk about.
I saw you did one a few weeks ago when you were like, you just were recording, you were like,
literally in my
house.
I'm
not really going to bother
with I was like, I don't care about like makeup, hair, lighting, whatever. I'm just going to record it now because I feel like recording it. And that day was so random. I was very hungover and felt like shit. But I was like, I just feel like recording. So I think IGTV is quite good for that, like Instagram in that way, whereas YouTube seems a bit too professional for me. And I just ain't got no time for that.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, YouTube, that's a different animal.
Yeah.
And
I feel like they're all young too.
Yeah. And whenever you're watching it, like they cut out every little moment of silence or whatever.
Yes.
And they just constantly
flow. Yeah.
It's just cutting out. Like when they actually edit it though, they cut out every little moment of silence. Have you noticed that?
Oh, do they?
When they're talking, they're like talking, and then it'll have a little glitch, and they'll be like slightly over here.
Oh no!
So either they've recorded it 4 times and chosen the best parts and put it all together, or they've just cut out every time.
Too much
every
work.
time they and they'll cut it out.
I'll say I'd be horrible because I'm good at interviewing. Like I love doing this kind of stuff, but I say a lot, so I'd be like horrible.
It's interesting to see how the monetary system works as well. I'm not sure if you've seen about that.
No.
So what they have to have once you get, I think it's 1,000 followers on YouTube, then you can become a partner, which means that you can apply to get AdSense revenue.
Yes.
And you become a YouTube partner if you've got 1,000 plus followers. Maybe it's 10.
That doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, I think it's 1,000, or maybe it's I think it's 1,000, and then you can start making revenue. So then, per engagement on your video, if somebody watches the ad for X amount of time, then you get X amount of cents. Or if somebody clicks on the ad before your video, you get X amount of cents.
I wonder how many people would actually click on those ads because I'm always like skip. I'm like, oh my God, is this over yet? Skip.
I actually like try and skip it as soon, like I'll just be like,
yeah, I know.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Skip.
I'm like, those ads are so annoying. Yeah.
You can't fool me.
yeah, I know. Seriously.
Yeah, but then they get X amount. And I think that the more prominent YouTubers can have a better deal with YouTube where they get
they make so much money,
more
so it does not
money
surprise
per.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, like some of these kids are buying houses in Hollywood
I know
Hills
one girl who last year made like 3 mil from Instagram and YouTube.
It's such a strange such a
young.
revolutionary technology though.
And like I said before, it's where technology in the world is going to now.
Yeah.
It's like
YouTube is one of those ones that we take for granted, but like the amount of resources.
Oh, I watch YouTube all the time.
All the time.
Like if I'm bored, I'm just like, oh, watch her channel.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even really watching it, but I am, and it just like takes up time.
And you've got like sort of I don't know if you've ever heard of Coursera and Skillshare, like these different sort of websites where you can do little courses and just learn little skills and everything. But then you got YouTube where you can. I learned the guitar on YouTube.
Did you?
I'm not great at it, but I learned how to play.
I learned how to do some makeup things on YouTube.
And you can learn whatever you want.
Yeah, it's true.
You can learn the most arbitrary skills.
Yeah, it's true.
Just YouTube.
I'm sure though you can't learn the FightFit technique on YouTube.
That's the
next thing you guys need to do.
That's the thing. It's personal, face to face. Have you ever done any sort of business? What's it called when you talk people through?
Or like Skype? No,
when you talk people through how to. Bash, what did you used to do as a job? Consulting.
No.
Business consulting.
No, I've never.
Never.
No.
What about if some young girl came to you and was like, "Hey Tully, I'm really into fashion, huge fan of yours. What would you recommend for me to try and get into the industry?"
I get like girls send me questions on Instagram and stuff like that, and
But you haven't walked anyone through step by step.
And like I get a lot of girls like who will like message me and be like, oh, like I've started this brand, like you know, I love what you're doing, like you inspire me, whatever. Like I'd love to take you to lunch or whatever. And sometimes I will, depending on time. But like I've never actually sat down and like fully gone through because I just like. But then also I like. No, I haven't actually. No.
What kind of things do you look at in terms of other brands? If young girls sort of come up to you and say, "Oh, this is an industry I'd love to get. I've got a passion for fitness, passion for health and well-being." What kind of stuff do you look at in terms of something that's like a good progressive company in the industry?
Yeah, I haven't really had anyone come up like. I'd probably just. Do you know what my number one answer is though? If someone does come to me and is like, "This is what I want to do" and stuff like that, I'm like, honestly, passion drives success. Like, if you're passionate about what you want to do, then you're going to be successful. So, probably just say that. I think. Yeah.
That's important though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm firmly of the belief that if you do something that you do love and you're persistent with it,
I think the
money will come eventually.
Exactly, and you just have to like stay at it and exactly what you said. So yeah.
And is there any other advice that you'd give to any young people looking to get into your industry?
My industry or any industry?
Any industry. That's a good point.
Any industry.
Just young people who are trying to live.
I mean, I've got so many. Like, I've learned so much. One thing that I always say, like, if everyone's like, "Do you have any advice and stuff?" I would say one thing is always ask for help. I'm a little bit stubborn, and when I first started, I thought that if I asked for help that I was failing in like business and life. So I was always so scared to ask for help because I'm like, oh my God, if I ask that person for help, they're going to think I'm a failure and that I'm actually doing really shit, but I actually generally need help. So I think always ask for help. I think another thing that I always say too is just like work to your strengths. So like I'm not very good at numbers at all, whereas my business partner is freaking amazing at like numbers and logistics and like spreadsheets, whereas that's not my thing. So
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I'm just like, no. So I have learned to always work at your strengths, and the things that you're not so good at, maybe that you might need help with, then don't do those, because I tend to like in the past I've done both things and then got so overwhelmed that like, you know, maybe lost a lot of money or fucked things up. So I think those two things are really important.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is fantastic advice.
Yes.
I'm so with you, especially on the strengths thing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Bash does all the numbers. I would not go.
I'm so bad
touch
at
it with
numbers.
a 10-foot pole.
And my brain just works in a different way to what like, so if there was like a simple way to work out a mathematical thing, my brain will go like around and around and around, try to work it out. And then my business partner, Sarah, will be like, all you have to do is this, this, this. I'm like, fuck, I didn't even think of it to do that. That's so simple.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Little things like that. I could write you an essay in my sleep if I want to, but with this stuff. And then we've got the microphones like this now. And before I had them looping over like this.
I didn't even notice.
I had them, sorry for people who are listening and not watching, but I had them looping over like this.
Oh, yeah, they were too.
And then Chev came in, one of our other partners in this, and said, "Oh, why don't you just put them there so it looks like normal?"
It's so smart.
Like I couldn't see you. I was
like,
Anyways, Tully, thank you so much for your persistence in coming back in.
Oh my God, of course.
I think that this has been an awesome podcast. I think you're a great role model for young girls in particular, and that they could take a lot from you.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you so much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Awesome. All right, thank you guys. See you later.
Thank you.